Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and Merry Christmas to you. I thought I'd do in this Christmas week a bit of a Christmassy sort of style of image, and in my normal sort of style, day to night, and also English countryside. So this picture, shot recently, is of the Crown and Castle Hotel in Ortford in Suffolk in England. And in the distance there you can see Ortford Castle, which was commissioned by Henry II, I think around about 1165, something like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a standard process, post-process on this image, and we're going to do a bit of day tonight. We're going to change the sky because it's just a boring sky, and we're going to bring the image alive a little bit. So where do we start? Well, my normal workflow is to correct the perspective and sort out the crop just to make sure that I'm happy with the image. So I'm just going to go down to transform on the right hand side here in Adobe Lightroom, and I'm going to try clicking auto to see how it copes. It's not too bad. It's sort of falling away a little bit on the left on that correction, so I'm going to change over to guided. I'm going to pick up on one of these window frames here, and I'm just going to use that as one, and then I'm going to use the edge of the castle here as the other one. So we just so again, it looks like it's falling away a little bit on this side, so I can just tweak it at the bottom a little bit just to bring it in a little bit more, or bring it out a little bit more. There we go, just a little bit more. So I'm just pulling that bottom of the box there over to the right, just to bring it in more at the top to the right, so it just sort of the perspective feels a little bit better. You know what, I might even go just a little bit further. Yeah, too far, so we'll just go back to where we were. There we go. So I'm happy with that, so I'm going to click done. You can do a horizontal if you've got a nice horizon, or you've got a river or something that you've got a nice straight line across. You could also just draw a line across whilst you're in this guided, and that would effectively give you the level. So you can alter that literally just by moving those about, and that helps play with the perspective as well. But I'm happy with that. I'm going to click done. I'm going to go into crop, and I'm going to select a 16:10. So I'll bring that down, maybe even a 16:9, just to squeeze it into a just want to get that leading edge at the bottom there, that leading line coming in from the road. But I do want to go up. I don't want to get the sky in, so I'm going to go about there and hit return. So that's the image I'm going to work with today. So there's a little bit of tidying up to do down here. If I zoom in just a little bit there, you'll see that we need to get rid of these cars and this signpost. Now I will do that in Photoshop. Also, I think we're going to do a sky replacement, and again, I think I will do that in Luminar today, because we've got such a lot of sky coming through the tree here, and Luminar is actually slightly better than Photoshop at dealing with that. So so let's jump over to Photoshop. So we're going to right click on the image itself, go to edit in Adobe Photoshop 2023. It's just going to go there and open Photoshop and import the image into it. Here we go. Great stuff. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom into this bottom part of the screen down here, and I'm going to sort out these cars. Don't look very good here. So what we always start off with is the spot healing brush tool. We can try make the brush a little bit smaller, and we can just try painting around the cars, paint them in, and just see how well. That's not too bad. That little bit of wall there we can correct for. Let's try this car here. Yeah, that's also pretty good. So I'm just going to go over to the stamp clone tool, and I'm going to take a stamp from up here. So I hold down the Option or Alt key on Windows, and then I left click where I want to take a copy from. So I'm going to take a copy from the wall there, and then I'll move that down. As you can see, I've got a part of the wall there now, so I'm going to move that down here, and then I can paint down. And as you're painting down there, you can see the cross above is where your stamp or clone is coming from. So I'm going to take one more from there as well, and then just paint that bit down to there, and then just paint that out. There we go. And that looks pretty good. We could try to include the path here if we wanted to. Just coming into that area there, and then we just take that edge there again, just make it a little bit smaller. It's pretty good, and the posts seem to have also moved a little bit, so I'll just take a copy of those there, make the brush a little bit bigger, and we'll just pop those in there. That's good. Now let's hold down the space bar so I can move the screen across. So let's get rid of this car here. So we're going to go back to the spot healing tool there, make it a little bit smaller, and just go around. One of the things I always do is overlap the surrounding scenery or surrounding area by 50%. So effectively the Photoshop has got something to work with as you're painting it in, because it uses this content aware. That looks done very well. Just take that little label off there as well. That's looking good. I got the old beacon there. So roadside, a little bit more tricky here. So we're going to try initially and just paint it out with the spot healing and the bin and the salt bin where they keep the salt for when the roads get quite icy. So let me just colour that in there, up there. So as you can see, I'm overhanging by 50%, then colouring in the centre, so it's all dealt with. Wow, it always amazes me how good the content aware tool really is. So it looks quite natural what it's done. So I'm just going to zoom out. So hold down the Option key and wheelie the mouse. So yeah, happy with this here. This looks pretty good. Anything on the building I want to deal with? I don't like this. There's a CCTV camera there. I think this must also be a CCTV camera, but it's looking quite old and worn. So let's try and deal with that as well. Or is it a speaker? I don't know. Let's still on the spot healing tool here. Let's just take out the things that we don't want to see. So we'll go around the cables, and we'll go around the speaker, remembering to fill it in. So always holding down the left mouse key, don't let go until you're finished. That's not too bad at all there. I'm just going to take out this bit here. That's okay. And then I'm going to use the clone tool to put this lamp back in by cloning this one over here. So Option Alt key, hold down, left click once, and that gives us the light bulb. There we go. Just paint that line back in there. There we go. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm happy with that. I think I might just do this corner here. Maybe take a stamp from this corner here. No, it's no good. Maybe this one here. And there you go. Good. So that looks a bit better. Perhaps we'll get rid of this this CCTV camera as well, or is it a speaker? I don't know, but we will get rid of this one as well. So 50-50 overlap, and then filling it in without letting go of the button. And then so we need to deal with that a little bit there and there. Go back to the clone tool. We'll take a clone from there and just add that in there. Take a clone from here, just paint that through, and then I think we might just clip that bit there. That's not so bad. That bit there just needs a little bit of tidying up. Take a smaller heal tool. There we go. Just copy over that a couple of times. There we go. So these festoon lamps will actually play quite an important role in the day to night, as will this lamp here. So just want to take these labels off the door. I'm still using the spot healing brush there. I think we can leave that one because it's a. Or should we? Let's try and remove that as well. Whilst we're here, let's just get rid of that. Paint that in. Just make sure you've got everything covered. Yeah, not so sure about that, but we'll try take that bit of the Christmas tree out that's reflecting in the window. Yeah, I can live with that. I can live with that. Is there any mess on the road or anything we just need to tidy up? Take it out. Leaf there. Wonder if we can correct for these cracks as well whilst we're here. So just the spot healing tool is so clever. What it can do, just draw over those cracks, look, and fix the pavement where you yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? A little tidy up here and there. That's pretty good. Don't like that cable on the wall there, so we're just going to get that away as well. That's it. The cable carrier is on around there. Get rid of that as well. It's just overdoing it a few times there, just to just get that little bit there right. Anything else? Little tiny cable hanging around there. Just using the spot healing tool just to remove any other things that we might think are distracting. 1819 this hotel was built, so look at that little eye bolt there. Just going to zoom out, optional alt key to zoom out, and I think for now maybe this cable down the doorway here, just want to tidy that up. So you can always click once at the top, move down. If it's nice and straight, move down to a lower point, hold down the shift key and click again. Even though you're in the spot healing tool, it will do a straight line. It will do a straight line heal. So a little bit there. That's fine. And then just take that cable out up there. And down the bottom here. Isn't it clever? Honestly, it really is. So I don't want to spend too much time on the finer details here, because it can make the videos quite long. I do get quite involved, and before I know it, I've got a 1.5 hour video. So I'm gonna call it there. I think just maybe just tidy that cable up there. Just coming out the window. So I'm still on the spot healing tool, and I'm just painting over the brush. It's just slightly bigger than the cable itself. There you go. And it's amazing how it can follow the content aware. That wasn't quite so good there, but that's not so bad. And the last one, just this one along the windowsill here. There you go. Right, let's zoom back out. Option, Alt key, and the middle wheel of your mouse. And I think we're ready to go back into, do apologise, just want to get that little mark in the road. It can a little bit distracting there. Just get those sorted. I think that will do us. Right, so to go back into Lightroom, File, Close, and Save. I always say this, if you go to File, Save As, it will not go back into Lightroom. You'll end up having to resynchronize it back into Lightroom. So if you do File, Close, and then Save, it will go back into Lightroom. And there we go, there's the corrected image. So this shot, 0.8 of a second. I did take it on a tripod, f8, trying to get the sharpest part of the lens there. I do have a Sony a7R4 and a wonderful, absolutely incredible 16 to 35mm f2.8 GM lens. Really astonishing, very, very sharp. Incredible piece of equipment. Very fortunate to be able to own something like that. And the dynamic range that it gives you is also very important, and that's where that will come into play now with our day to night. But before we do day to night, we're going to do the sky replacement. So we're going to right click, we're going to edit in, and I'm going to take you over to Luminar 4. Now a lot of people ask me, well, why don't you use the latest one? Why don't you use Luminar Neo? And the main reason is that Luminar Neo is a fantastic piece of software. I do have it there, but it's more of a one-click thing. They're trying to help you solve any particular issue you've got. There's a lot more AI involved, so it tries to solve the issues with light and dark and color and shade and contrast, etc. I actually prefer to have a little bit more control, and the older version, Luminar 4, which is where they started, has a little bit more control. It's not quite so dominating in the way that the image is processed. Now you can argue that you can do that in Neo. You can back off and have more subtle. You can do that. Yes, you can. But me personally, I've played with Neo a lot. It's got some very clever features. But I do like to go in to use Luminar 4. So I hope they don't change it, because if they do, hopefully I don't have to update, because I do love the way it works. So I'm going into Luminar 4 now. We're going to do a sky replacement to get rid of this grey sky. And to do that, the second module down is Creative. I'm going to click on Creative, go to AI Sky Replacement, and then I'm going to select a sky. I'm going to go into Load Custom Skies, because these are my skies in here and some skies I've purchased. And one of the great things about Mac is you can highlight a file, press spacebar, and then you can have a look at it. And then whilst you're in the preview area, you can use the cursor keys to move down through the different skies that you've got. So that's actually quite a nice sky. Oh, that's nice. I'm going to go back. I think I'll use this one. So this is number 32. So I'm going to come out of that. There it is, number 32. I'm going to click open, and then just going to pop that in the distance like that. Now, over on the right hand side, within the AI Sky Replacement module, you have advanced settings. If you open that up, you get a few more sliders, and I'll show you how these sliders work. First of all, I'm going to see if the sky looks better rotated, mirrored the opposite way around, and you can do that by clicking the flip sky button there, and you can see it moves it over from left to right. So that's not too bad. I think what I'm going to do is perhaps stick with the other way around. Now it is a little bit light along the edges, so we want to, you can see there's a little bit of a halo here. So what we do want to do is try to correct for that. First thing I'm going to do is remove any blending. If you have that blending is used where you have like a distant landscape where the mist sort of creeps in as you get further and further away, and therefore rather than having a sharp edge from the sky, you can blend the sky into the distant mist. It works very, very well. But here we've got quite a hard edge there. You can see if I just blend it, you can see that it will bring a blend into the distance like that. So you could blend that in if you wanted to. I'm going to bring that right back down to 0. Then you can move the horizon. You can move this up or down. We can bring this down a little bit, like so. I think that works very well, because I'm going to add a sun in here in a second. And then we can use the Sky Global. So if you slide this over, you'll see, if you look at the trees up here, you can see there's a little bit patchy. And then as I move it further over, it pushes the sky into the tree and renders it. This is one of the reasons why I preferred to use Luminar rather than Photoshop, because you do have this function. If you go too far, it can look a little bit fake. So I'm just going to back that off just a little bit, and then you can see as I move it, it moves with the slider, and once I stop somewhere, it will then re-render. There you go, re-renders the scene. Does a very good job with that. Closed gaps is used where you're not filling a gap very well. In this case, it's doing quite well. So if I move it, it's on 10 at the moment. If I move it lower, you'll see these artifacts will appear along the edge here. Can you see this? So if I move that back, you can eradicate those. If you go too far, it can look a little bit fake. So you have to be, if I go all the way to the end there, it can be a little bit much. So just kind of zoom back. You can have a look. That it seems to work quite well. I don't need to go that far. I think probably going to go to about 30. Just zoom in and have a look. Those edges all look, yeah, that's perfect. And then Sky Local and Relight Scene, they help with the with the main part. So if I bring the Sky Local over, you'll see that the sky starts to appear on some of the lighter surfaces. So yeah, again, you have to be careful as you're sliding this. So I'm just going to find the right place to sit with that. I think it's going to be about 100. Now, Relight Scene, if I slide that over, you'll see that the brightness of the sky is then transferred to the foreground. Yeah. So if I have it right back here, you can see that it's quite light here. And if I move it over, you start to get some color in there. We want a little bit, we don't too much, because we want to capture the brightness of these, the sparkle of these lights around here. So I'm just going to I'm going to go about there. Relight Scene. Then Sky Defocus is used where you've got that distant mist, so you don't need to worry about that too much. Atmospheric haze also the same. You can add that haze in that we want to sometimes get when we've got a hazy scene in a landscape. The sky temperature, obviously simple. You can make the sky redder or you can make the sky bluer. It's as simple as that. And I'm going to add a bit more red into this one. And exposure, you can make it darker or brighter. The main scene changes as well because we've got the Relight Scene in there. So I think I'm going to go around about there. So I'm happy with that. That's actually a pretty good sky replacement. Nice edge all through the trees. We've got some good color there. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to go back into the creative module, which is where we are. And then I'm going to go down to sun rays. You see here, 2 down, there's sun rays. And this is a really wonderful tool. You have to be careful with it, otherwise it looks very fake. But what I would like to do is put a sun just peeking around the corner here, and we'll create a shadow on the road. So let's go to place sun center, and you see this dot appears, right? This is where your sun's going to go. And I'm just going to put the sun just behind the corner there. Okay, and you can see the sky's brighter there. And what we're going to do is we're going to increase the amount. You see, as we start to increase it, it starts to add more and more and more in there. And you see that we get this sort of edge. We will want to get rid of these rays here eventually, but we don't want too much. So I'm just going to bring that back a little bit. I'm going to go back, open the advanced settings. Now the overall look, you can make that more or less just to make the scene brighter or darker. And I'm just going to slide it to about there. Sun ray length, we want to shorten those. Don't want them too long. It's coming through there. And then you can have more penetration or less penetration depending on how much you want there. So sun's always a bright thing, so you don't want to go like that's probably a bit too bright, but we can also make it a little bit warmer, just a little bit warmer, not too much. There we go. And the sun rays can be a little bit warmer as well. So you just got the sunlight coming around the corner there. You see how clever that really is. It really is a very clever tool. I'm just going to back that off just a little bit. So there's a sun ray coming around there. We don't really want that. We can change that because down the bottom you have randomize, which changes the the actual sun rays, and as you move across you will get different sun rays. So I'm just going to try and find something that works. Bear with me just a moment. I think that one works quite well. I'm going to go to edit mask, and I've got a gradient mask, and effectively I can't remember which way around it goes. Is it this way? I think that's, yeah, the other way. Sorry, there we go. So if I just move that over to there, so that would be on the line. That's the 100%. So I want that on the corner. I want to make it the same as the building there, and then I can fade these sun rays that you can see. If I come all over here, the sun rays come right the way out. There's one there, look, see this one here, and I can bring this this gradient filter back much shorter so that it dies much quicker around that corner. Yeah, and that works very, very well. And we will create more of a line down here later when we go back into Lightroom. Now the sun radius, I can make the sun bigger, I can make the sun smaller, and we can just find something that works there quite well. And you can increase the glow of the sun or decrease the glow of the sun, so, and how much of the glow you want. So you want quite a bit there. Just warm that up a little bit more. I think that works quite well, actually. You have to be careful not to go too far with sun warmth because it looks a little bit unnatural if you do. Yep, I'm happy with all of that, so I'm going to apply, and that's going to send it back into Lightroom. So let's see how that looks when we come back in. There we go. So we're now back into Lightroom. That's working quite well. I want to increase this shadow from the sun here. So the best way to do that is to go into masks, and what I can do is I can take a brush, and I can take quite a large brush, and I can just make sure the feather, there's a little bit of feather on there, it decrease the flow, and I just want to just bring that in like that. Maybe a bit of light on the wall as well, and then I can bring up the exposure and some warmth, just as though the sun is coming around the corner there. Let's just decrease that flow a little bit more, a bit more feather, and just light up around here. There we go. You see how that creates that sort of sun coming around the corner look. It's a bit bright over here, so we can subtract another brush with a low flow, lots of feather, and we can just work that down just a little bit round through there. There we go. Just play with that light. There we go. Just to take that edge off slightly. So that works very, very well. I want a bit light up here in the tree as well, so I'm going to go back to the first brush, and I'm going to put auto mask on. And what that means is wherever the cross in the center of the brush is, that will be the datum, the starting point, if you like, for what you're going to paint. So if you start with a dark color, it will only paint the dark colors. Let me exaggerate a little bit. So let's bring the flow up high, and I will start on there, and you just work your way around, and it will try to light the branches rather than necessarily just the sky, so you can get quite an effect. I have really exaggerated that because I had the flow very, very high. So let me just undo those, and then what we're going to do is we're going to bring the flow down, and we're just going to take a small brush with that on, and just add in a little bit of brightness into the trees here, because that sunlight would light these trees as well. So we're just gonna Just bring that in there like that. It's going to add a bit of clarity to that shot, just a little, oh, not too bright. And then we're just going to just picking up those branches as though the sunlight is just pushing in. You see that? Maybe along this wall a little bit. And so it's lighting up the wall, lighting up the tree. You can see how the light would come in from over there and just sort of pick up on these tree branches and all the way up through there. So it's about thinking about where the light comes from and how the light would reflect off this tree. That the front edge of this branch, for example, this trunk of the tree here would be brighter, as would this one. So we can just pick those details up with a smaller brush. There we go, and just the top of these bushes here. And a little bit more in there, just to. Yeah, that works quite well. I'm going to add a little bit of saturation to that brush as well, just to bring it in, and a little bit more clarity, a tiny bit of texture. There we go. Can you see how that's come alive there with a little bit of texture? Works really, really well. If I open up the shadows, it will brighten up the surface. It exaggerates now. It's a bit too bright, but I can just open them up and maybe bring the highlights down. But I do want the road quite bright, so let's see. I think that works reasonably well there. So I'm happy with this side of the image now. Okay, so now we're going to do the day to night on this side of the image. So what I really want to do is I want to actually bring the whole image down a little bit darker. So I'm going to take the make sure I'm not in any masks, sorry. I'm going to take the exposure down a little bit, so a little bit darker along there. I'm going to bring down the shadows a little bit. But I still want to keep this side quite bright. It's really important that I maintain that side there. So instead of dropping the exposure, what I would do is I'd keep that as I like it, which is up here. Okay, I'd take a mask, create a new mask, take a brush, right, and then I'm going to have really high flow and quite a low feather, and I want to just come in along this edge here, and my flow's high, my feathers, yeah, I just want to and just paint that brush in just around, so the whole area I want to be darkened, like so. Take a bigger brush in there. So if I hover over the mask, I can see where I've been. I'll take the auto mask off. So just bringing that in. So I've painted that whole area. Just check the mask again. Yeah, look at that. And so now what I can do is I can just darken down this side. You see, I can change it from the right hand side to the left hand side. So I can actually drop this bit just a little bit. So we've got more effective shade on this side, but we will relight this area in the day to night technique. And I'll show you how we can do that. So we'll accept that for now. We will go to a new mask. We will take a radial gradient and we will put it on this light in here. You can see that, so it's lighting up the room. We will duplicate the radial gradient and we will take that and put it on the ceiling one. Make that a little bit smaller. We'll duplicate again and we will bring it down onto these candles that are down here, just to light that area up. And we will brighten up that room using those lights. Can you see that? Works quite well. Put a bit of clarity in there. Works lovely. However, we do not want to light the window frame. So we will subtract a brush and we will take a very small feather, maximum flow, and we will subtract away from these windows. So if I come along the top here, I'll click once there, and I click down here, hold the shift and click again. You can see I can paint that. I can paint that away, and we will come back to the Christmas tree in a little while. So I'm just moving backwards and forwards to take out the window frame that I don't want illuminated, so, and the rest of it around here. And then what we'll do is we'll get to the detail on the window. So I'm just going to zoom in onto the window here, and I'm going to move across onto the window, and then I just need to do the finer details. So we're still in the subtract brush from this mask, and we just need to make sure that we get these little edges just covered as we come through there. There we go. That looks better. And make the brush bigger or smaller to match the window. And I'm just going to go up there, shift click. I'm going to make the edge of that window there, that edge of that window pane. I'm going to do that with a bit of slightly different level of density on the brush, so that we can create almost a, if you like, a not so contrasty edge to the light. I'm going to take a small brush here, small brush, just going to take the edge of this window pane there like so, and same across here. So I'm clicking once, shift click, holding down the shift still, click again, holding down the shift, click again, so I can get those, because those windows are not straight. They've been there a long time. So I'm just putting the front edge along the window frame itself, and what I will do is I will come back over this with a less dense brush, just to blend the light away. And there's this last one over here. That's it. So click, shift, click to get that straight line, and then we're good. Now I want to blacken out this from this edge here to this here, but this edge here needs to be dark, but not the very edge of the window. So I'm just going to do the same, click, shift, click to get that sort of darker edge there, and just on there. But that light, that will be lit by the room, and on this side it will be in shadow. So I'm just going to come up and hopefully can pick up on that. So come across the top, same there. So I'm just leaving these little edges, which we will come back to in a moment. But this is one of the main details in the photograph, is this room looking through the window on this Christmassy scene. So I want to make sure that we maintain that as the main part. So I'm just going to take that centerpiece out. That's it. So, oh, one bit here, sorry. Just get this one here. So to get these edges that we've left, what we're going to do is we're going to go to 50% flow and a little bit more feather, and then we're going to just go over those with a 50% less flow. You see how you get this not as dark as the main part. It's a little bit lighter, and you can cross over all of these now with the same. And what it effectively does is it gives you a different level, a gradient of light, where the window would be lighting the edge of the window pane. I'm just going to come down through there. across there. So click, shift, click. Same here. Just going to back that flow off a little bit more. And then shift, click. Now it may not look like very much at all when you're actually sat there watching this. You think, well, that isn't a great deal. But when we zoom back, you will see that it gives a really natural look. And the key to day to night, in my view, is that you've got to try to pull it off in a way that it looks natural, and that if you don't tell anybody, they would not know by looking at the image that you'd effectively created that effect. So yeah, I'm just going to go over that sharp edge 50-50 there, just to blend it a little bit more. And this one, that's perfect. Right, so if I just zoom out a little bit there, go back to fit, that's good. So if I make this room brighter or darker now by clicking on the radial gradients, I can make you'll see that it doesn't light up or darken the window frame itself, which works very, very well. So I can make the room quite bright. Actually, there's a little bit more of the mask, yeah, just by the doorway there. Just need to remove that. Flow 100. We will come back to that shortly. So that's looking nice inside that room. I'd like to alter the color just a little bit, add a little bit more magenta in there. Yeah, that looks better. And a little bit of contrast inside the room, a little bit more clarity, a little bit of texture. And it's the clarity that makes things sparkle. So yeah, you know, but you have to be a little bit careful you don't go too far. And I'm going to bring up the highlights in that room just a little bit, not too much. Maybe open the shadows up a little bit more as well. There we go. So you got a beautiful Christmassy scene inside. We've got the Christmas tree lights outside, which now by contrast look very different. So we're going to create a new mask. We're going to go to radial gradient, and we're going to plop a radial gradient on the Christmas tree. Just like that. I'm going to bring up the exposure. You see how that makes it pop already? A bit of magenta just to balance those colors, and clarity to make it sparkle. There we go. A little bit of texture as well. So that Christmas tree is lovely and bright now. I'm going to copy that. So duplicate the radial gradient down onto this one. Make it a little bit smaller. There we go. That's a nice glow there. And the doorway here, we need to light this doorway up. There is a light under there. So let's zoom in to the doorway. You can see the light, the lamp there. Let's take a new radial gradient. Let's put it on the light bulb there, like so. Going to make it really bright. Almost looks like you've turned it on already. That looks okay. And I think what we'll do is we'll right click and we will duplicate the mask, and that means we've got two on top of each other, and we're going to take this one a bit bigger as such, as so, but we don't want it on this bit here, so we're going to subtract a brush, feather quite low, flow quite high, and I'm just going to click, and I'm just going to work my around shift click, shift click, shift click, just to get around that edge there. Make the brush smaller, just to get into that little bit there. I just want to paint that out, you see. So the light is not, it's not effectively, and I'm just going to come across the top of that light there as well. I'm just going to add some feather, just to come in around there. Right, let's boost the color of that light, add some temperature and some magenta just to bring that color in. And you see how that light bulb is now on. You know, we may even, let's just have a look, we may need to make that a little bit brighter just on the lamp. So whilst we're in that mask, we will, in fact, we'll add a new mask, new radial gradient, and we will take a small one just to sit on the light bulb as such, just like that. Make sure it's the same angle and just brighten that up like that. There we go. That works. So a little bit more light required on the door down here. There would be a little bit of a shadow at the top. So let's be careful here. Let's create another radial gradient. Let's place it on the door. Now that light's going to be brightest around about here. So we're just going to bring that in onto the door and brighten the door up. Just like that. A little bit of clarity. That works well. We don't want it up here on the lamp that we've already got and up above here because it's coming down. So we do need to cut this out, but this tree will be lighting this area here. So let's be careful here. Let's subtract the brush. Let's go with medium feather, lots of flow. I'm just not gonna go too close to that edge at the moment. Just want to bring that out round there. That Christmas tree will be lighting up that area there. So let's now drop the feather away and let's just get in tight on that edge as we come round. Smaller brush. There we go. Let's just see where that one there, we need to just subtract a brush from that one as well. Just so it keeps that outer edge dark. There we go. Make sure that we've got all of them. That one there, that just want to bring the rest of that round. Just hover over. There we go. So that's just the area. Now you see how I do that with the mask. Once you've put a radial gradient in and then you subtracted a brush away from parts of it, you can just hover over the mask itself and it will show you the area that the mask is working on. So that's a really nice feature of the more modern version of Lightroom that we've got now with this feature here. Now I just want to put a little bit of light onto the road, and let's do that now. New mask, create new radial gradient, and then we're going to put a radial on the road that's being lit by this lamp here. So let me just bring that up. A little bit of colour, a little bit of magenta. Do you see how that works? Fabulous, isn't it? But I don't want to light up the tree in this wall over here, so I'm going to subtract a brush. Flow's at 100. Feather's going to be quite high because I'm just going to come in there and remove that from that area there. So it's just lighting up the road there. In fact, I'm just going to undo that by using Control Z just to take me back. Maybe that was a bit too powerful. Subtract brush. Let's go with a little bit less flow. Slightly smaller brush, and we're just going to just take that bit out that's over there. There we go, that's better. And then maybe a little bit of a glow from this window down here. So create a new radial gradient. Let's put the main light's going to come, and it's going to come out through the window sort of like this. Just trying to find the right angle so the light looks about right. Now we will have a shadow, so let's just bring up the brightness there. A little bit of yellow again, a bit of magenta just to balance it off so it's not too yellow. Just going to bring that out from the window just a little way, and then we're going to put this shadow in. From that light we'll have a shadow along this edge, right? So we do that by subtracting a brush. We're going to go with quite a high feather, and we're going to 60 on the flow's fine, and we're literally going to click and shift and click and go back. See that we've created this negative line, and we're still holding down the shift key. We can move backwards and forwards a few times, building that up, and then just paint that bit out there. And you see how that's created a shadow. That works quite well. That's in fact a little bit too bright. I'm just going to back that down a little bit. Yeah, that looks better. So I think we're pretty well there. The only thing I really would love to do is light all of these festoons lamps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do one or two. Then I'm going to speed the video up as I do the rest of them so you can see how it looks. And then I think we'll be getting close to complete. So we're going to create a new mask, a new radial gradient. And what we're going to do is we're going to take little tiny ones, literally the size of the lamp themselves. Can you see that? Oops, there we go. I'm just going to zoom in, use the space bar to move, and I'm just going to put over, and I'm just going to brighten them up just to maximum like that. I may add a little bit of color to them. There we go. And I'm going to duplicate the mask rather than the specific radial. The reason for that is that I can adjust the brightness of each one separately. So let me just do a couple here. So duplicate the mask, move it forward, duplicate the mask, move it forward. Now once you've got a few in and you look at them and you think, yeah, okay, that looks all right. And if I zoom back, you think, well, that looks all right, but you need the ambient light around them. So what we're going to do is, whilst we're here, we're going to take an additional mask. We're going to duplicate the mask again, and this time we're going to make it bigger. We're going to shape it to the angle of the lamp on the wall like that. So we're just going to get a bigger glow, right? But not too much brightness. So now what you'll see, in fact, if I just move that one out, I need to make that one just a little bit smaller. So now what you'll see, if I cut away from that one, is that you've got the light glow around it. So we just need to make sure that they're small enough. And then right click, duplicate the mask, and then make it bigger. And turn it so it's the same angle. Yeah. Drop the brightness. I think that's going to be about 2.5 there. Yeah, that's nice. I'm going to duplicate that one. Oh, now that one's again, I think it's just a little bit too big, so we're just going to make those a little bit smaller, size of the lamp themselves, and then we're going to pop that on there. There we go. Duplicate the mask. So if I now pop back out to accept those, you see they look much more natural because you've got that bit of sort of additional light around them. In fact, those radials that we put on there actually could be they could be a little bit bigger. Just make them a little bit bigger, even if they overlap just a little bit. And this one here, that works quite well. And let's just go back out. So you see that they actually work very, very well. So let me speed the video up. I'm going to whip through all of these. There's quite a few to do, and then I'll come back to you shortly, and we'll just finish the image up. Okay, super. Okay, there you go. So some 120 radial gradients. It's quite a lot. You need a decent computer to be able to run this. So I'm just going to finish off with some ambient lighting. So I'm going to take a new brush. I'm going to create brush, and then I'm just going to make sure we've got plenty of feather, quite a bit of flow. I'm going to bring in some brightness, not too much color, and a little bit of clarity, a little bit of contrast. And what I want to try to do is just emphasize where the lights are brightening the wall. So I've just gone along there with the brush just to pick that up. Can you see I've just added a little bit more there. Same around the windows here, and just down to the end there. Just ping up a little bit more brightness and inside that loft area there. So it just there we go. And you see how that's just picking that all up. Oh, it's still painting. Hang on a second. Just Control Z. Didn't want to do that last bit there. So to try that again. So I'm just going to, a little bit bigger brush, just going to pick that up, run down through here, make the brush smaller, pick up under there, brighten down through there. So it just looks like we got a little bit more light coming onto the wall, just from these lights as we come down through. A little bit more light in there, a little bit more light in there. And a little bit more ambient light over the top of these ones. So just, yeah, that's working quite well. I'm just going to add a bit more colour into that, not too much. Yep. So let me just come out of the mask for a moment. We'll have a look at where we are now with the data light. This needs to be a little bit yellower along here. So I'm just going to pop back into the masks for those. And I'm just going to add a little bit more colour to those as we go through, make them a little bit bigger as well. Now, as you can see, my computer's starting to get a little bit slow now because we have about 140 radial gradients. A little tip to speed your computer back up when you get to this point, you've got so much going on, is send it over into Photoshop, okay, with all the Lightroom adjustments. Send it over into Photoshop and then bring it back again. And what it will have done is it will have re-rendered the scene. So there we go. We're now in Photoshop. And then what we can do is we can close and save and send it back into Lightroom. Just saving there. You can see down bottom left. And we go back into Lightroom. And now we have the re-imported, re-rendered version. So now my computer is going to be super fast again. So I just want to do those last oranges there, so I'm going to take a mask, and then I'm going to take a brush, and I'm just going to come over those with the brush as such, and then just change the color, just to balance that color off just a little bit better. There we go, that works quite well. I just want to lighten up that wall, so I'm going to add a brush with a bit of brightness. I just want to just bring that in there, just slightly, just not too much, so just lightening up, just bringing some bit of a feature to those areas. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I think the sign needs lighting, so we're just going to go zoom in there, and just with that brush that we've created there, just light the sign up. There we go. So I think maybe just a little bit on the castle, just to make it pop just a little bit. I'm just going to subtract the sky from that brush. I don't want the edge lit up. There we go. And I think we've got ourselves a finished picture. So yeah, maybe a little bit of a post crop vignette just to finish her off. So let's go down to the bottom to effects, and then just bring in -25 on the post crop vignette, and bring the feather up to 100, just balance it out a little bit. And then I'm just going to go back to the main, just brighten the whole image just slightly, little bit of contrast, and maybe just a tiny bit less saturation and a little bit of vibrance, just to make it pop at the end of the day. And there we go, there's our Christmas scene, Christmas at Ortford. So I know it was another long video, apologies for that, but hopefully that gives you an idea of how to put a sky replacement in, how to do the day to night and get that Christmassy effect, and maybe hopefully you'll all have a wonderful Christmas. So thank you very much for watching. If you like the video, please click like, and if you like what I'm doing on YouTube and you'd love to continue joining me on my adventure on YouTube, please feel free to subscribe, and until the next video, goodbye for now.